Hi, it's me, Nick, and I am not everywhere, but someone else, some other people are everywhere. In this new recap series, this time it's Teletubbies Everywhere. As I did the entire Teletubbies series, now I'm doing Teletubbies Everywhere. So yeah. First up is number 3. Yes, there's 2 regular Teletubbies episodes about numbers 3, and now there's a Teletubbies Everywhere episode. So yeah, after the series got canceled, they decided to make a spin-off series. This was actually the very first Ragdoll show to have a spin-off show. Which, yeah. As Teletubbies was their most popular show at the time. So, it made sense, apparently. Each episode is much shorter, however, with being 10 minutes long each episode. Sorry about that. Yeah. The Teletubbies would appear on different colored backgrounds and learn about concepts and stuff. So yeah. I might get the colors wrong since I'm colorblind, so just deal with it, practically. Each episode starts up, with, the Teletubbies each appearing on a random colored background say, uh-oh, one by one. In this episode, on a red background, we see Lala, then Tinky Winky, then Po, and then Dipsy. And then they will all appear together and say, uh-oh. And then the Teletubbies title from the original series would show up, and it would say, Teletubbies Everywhere. And then it would explode, but they wouldn't show the exploding animation like in the original Teletubbies series. And it would show another colored background, this time on a sky blue background. And the Teletubbies appear all over the place. There's multiple Teletubbies everywhere. Lala's the first one to appear. At the end of each episode, she's always the last one to disappear as well. The first segment is Tinky Winky drawing a triangle, just like his antenna, on a yellow triangle on an orangish red background, apparently. And then Dipsy's hat appears on a red background, and Dipsy puts it on a purple background. This is one of the few episodes to have one of the Teletubbies' favorite things. Oh, jeez. And then the TV events. Yes, there's TV events in this series, and they start up like this. They'll show a random color background, this time indigo, and you would hear a little bit of the Teletubbies theme, ding, 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 that you also hear at the beginning of and end of each episode. And then one of the Teletubbies will appear on the screen, this time Po. And a lot of times the audio of them giggling is from the original series when they would get chosen for a TV event. And then the windmill Sparkles and Shadow would show up in the background, and their tummies and antennas would light up, and they would watch a video from around the world. This time it's from India, of some kids learning about the number 3. 3 apples, 3 ice cream cones, yeah. It's pretty interesting. And then there's a scene where the Teletubbies are walking different ways on a light purple background, and the Nunu shows up. This is one of the few appearances on the show of him. So yeah. And then Dipsy's hat shows up again. And then 3 hats show up on a brown background. And, they would dance along, and you would hear Dipsy singing his hat song. And then each episode would end like this. Some episodes would end with each of the Teletubbies appearing one by one. And this episode's Dipsy, Tinky Winky, Lala, then Po. And most of the time, one of the Teletubbies would make a different sound when they appear than the others. I think here, the Teletubbies make a ding sound or something, I forget. But Po makes a wood knocking sound like that. And they would, and the narrator would say, Teletubbies love each other very much. And they would go, big hug, and they would walk away. This segment takes place on a greenish-yellow background. So yeah. Each episode ends, like this, apparently. It ends the same way it starts, with each Teletubby showing up one by one, but this time saying goodbye. I like how they use, the same audio of them saying goodbye from Tubby Bye Bye in the original series. That's pretty odd. But yeah. And then they'll show them on screen again, but this time they're disappearing. And as they're disappearing, they're saying goodbye. And then they would all show up to say goodbye, and it will show the end credits on a black screen, showing, basically, like, I think it's like the production company that made the TV event, and, like, yeah, it'll show the Ragdoll logo making the sound that you hear at the beginning of the bye-bye scene. So, yeah. Next up is Drumming Taiwan. But yeah. 4 Poes show up on screen on a greenish-brown background. Tinky Winky discovers the color red. Would have made more sense if Poe was the one who sees it. Lala draws basically her ball on a greenish-white background. And then Dipsy is seen on a green background, and he's chosen for the TV event. So yeah. These kids are playing with these drums in Taiwan. It's pretty cool. In some episodes, the Teletubbies love each other scene is different. Instead of appearing on screen, they just come onto screen. Like, I don't really know how to explain, but yeah. Apparently, and this one takes place on magenta background. Yeah. In the beginning and end, the Teletubbies appear in this order: Poe, Dipsy, Tinky Winky, and Lala on a yellowish beige background. In this episode, they actually use a different audio of them saying "uh-oh," which, yeah, apparently. And Poe's the first one to appear on a red background. Yeah, apparently. Feeding chickens, not feeding the chickens, an episode of the original series, just feeding chickens. 6 Dipsies appear on a pinkish beige background. Poe discovers the color brown, which is the color of some chickens, so that makes sense. And then Lala demonstrates big and small. I guess some chickens are big and some are small. A big Lala shows up and a tiny Lala shows up. The tiny Lala has like this high-pitched voice, like, I can't do it. It's kind of creepy in my opinion, the scene. It takes place on an orange background. Tinky Winky shows up on a green background for the TV event. These kids from Portugal are feeding the chickens on the farm. This is, as far as my knowledge, the only Teletubbies Everywhere TV event to take place in Portugal. But yeah. A lot of the TV events that take place in India or Finland, or not Finland, that's the next episode. They either take place in India or Taiwan. So yeah. Apparently. And then the Teletubbies come on screen to a pinkish-red background to give each other a big hug. Dipsy, Poe, Lala, and Tinky Winky appear in that order, say uh-oh and goodbye. It's kind of delayed for like a few seconds at the beginning of the episode, but yeah, it's on a greenish-orange background. And then Dipsy is the first and last one to appear on a bluish-gray background. And I won't mention, like, the US versions of these episodes yet. I'm actually thinking about doing another kind of video where I talk about the US Teletubbies episodes, but I will say, like, when this aired on PBS, it aired as episode 8 instead of episode 3. Yeah, a lot of these episodes aired in, like, the wrong order. Some of them did air in the right order, but, like, some of them did not. Now, ice skating or ice hockey. There's actually, like, 2 different versions of this episode. First of all, ice skating, that's already a regular Teletubbies episode, so I feel like ice hockey would be a more appropriate name. 2 Poes appear on a greenish-brown background. The music that plays at the beginning would later be used in some Flash games on the CBeebies website. Does anyone remember those? I remember one of them, like, Tinky Winky's, like, playing, like, a hiding game with the other Teletubbies, and their favorite things in Teletubby Land. But yeah. Actually, one, Teletubbies, Flash game, they're sliding down a hill. There are 2 different versions of that game, one where it's snowy and one where it's not, basically. Does anyone remember the version where it was not snowy? But, like, during the game, like, a like 2-second loop of the beginning part of the Teletubbies Everywhere theme music shows up. But yeah, there were a lot of games on that website, pbskids.org, based on Teletubbies Everywhere. Like each Teletubby showing up one by one. You can make all the Teletubbies appear on screen, and like counting and stuff and shapes. But yeah, but anyway, back to the episode. Lala and Dipsy demonstrate near and far on a pink background. And then Tinky Winky gets chosen for a TV event on a chartreuse background. Which, yes, that is an actual color. These kids are playing ice hockey in Finland and drinking hot chocolate. Pretty cool. And then Teletubbies jump onto screen to give each other a big hug on blue background. In some episodes, there's much different music playing during this segment, where it's in a different tone. I don't like the alternate music, honestly, but yeah. It reminds me of in some Teletubbies home videos where during Tubby Bye Bye there's different music, but I'm actually going to do a separate video on those sometime soon. The Teletubbies appear in this order, say uh-oh, Po, Dipsy, Tinky Winky, and Lala on a dark blue background, and Po's the first one to appear on a reddish beige background. Yeah, I'm very colorblind. I think I'm colorblind because of this show. I keep seeing too many colors that all look almost exactly the same. There's another version of this episode on a DVD called CBeebies, The Best of Preschool Television. That's shorter. It's a shorter version of the episode. It has Po jumping on a pink background, and then the TV event. And then after the TV event, we see a baby blue background before it like cuts to like a brownish green background. Yeah, they would appear on a what's called on a brownish green background in this order. Po. When Po appears, she makes a boing sound. And when Tinky Winky appears, he makes a knock sound. Lala makes like sound of like sandpaper kind of being rubbed together. And Dipsy makes a ding sound. I think it's like, yeah, apparently. And as far as my knowledge, this is the only time. This ending, by the way, was taken from like another episode. We'll get to that later. But this is the only time, like, this and that episode are the only times where like this version of the Teletubbies Love Each Other segment has the alternate music. The alternate music will only show up when they would come onto the screen, not when they would appear one by one. And the bye-bye scene is shortened. It only shows, like, the Teletubbies on a background saying goodbye. And, yeah. And at the end, instead of, before the Ragdoll logo shows up, which is different, it will show a screen that says Teletubbies Love Each Other Very Much. This would be used on some of the home videos, which we'll talk about some other time. Yeah. Now Rolling Wheels. This is an interesting one. This one has Lala running around on a chartreuse background. Dipsy discovers the color green. Po and Tinky Winky draw a pink circle on a light green background. I just feel like I have to mention what color backgrounds they are, but yeah. Lala's chosen for a TV event on a brown background. These kids are rolling, like, wheels and stuff in India. Like, these, like, things. Like, it looks pretty cool, but, like, I just have to question why. And then Po chases her scooter on a light gray background, and then Teletubbies will come onto screen to give each other a big hug on a dark pink background, and it has the alternate ending music. And then, the Teletubbies appear to say uh-oh in this order. Tinky Winky. When Tinky Winky does appear, the sound of him disappearing is not heard. And then Lala, and then Dipsy, and then Po. And then Tinky Winky's the first one to show up on a light green background. And I think that's going to be it for this part. Yes, only 5 episodes for one part, but yeah. But there's still a lot more to talk about. See you later.